very important or crucial feature in Microsoft Excel that enhances data collection on imputing data on Microsoft Excel is the data validation feature. The data validation feature ensures that data is validated based on data types that should be entered into specific cells or specific columns on your spreadsheet. So to assess data validation or implement data validation, we have to highlight the area where we want to implement the validation. Then we head on to data tab on our ribbon, then to data tools and click on data validation, okay? On the data validation box, we have three tabs here. We have the setting tab, the input message tab, and the error alert tab. We are going to see how we work with three of these tabs. So you see, by default, Microsoft Excel allows you to collect any value, that is, input any value. You could as well input figures and text all in one column. That is fine. But to ensure data is collected appropriately for analysis, we need to ensure we determine what data is allowed to be collected per column. So we will be starting from the name column, right? And we want to, if you check now, we have whole number, decimal, list, date, time, text length, and custom. So we want to work with text length now. And we see that our data could be between a particular length of text or a length of text not between, or a length of text equal to, and so on and so forth. We have several conditions here. So let's use length of text between, okay? So now we want to say length of text between 3 and say 10. So I'm using 3 because my name is Ada and 3 letters in the name. So should I use that to do a test for you? So after ensuring that you've done this, let us see how we can basically help people who will be imputing the data or direct them how to impute the data appropriately. We want to do that by inserting an input message. So I'll just go ahead on the input message and say insert name between 3 and 10 alphabets. Okay, then on the error alert, we have different error alerts. Are we stopping them from entering? Are we warning them about the entry, or are we informing them about the entry? So if we want to stop them from entering it, we'll say stop. And what is the error message? Let's say stay with or stay within the input instructions. Okay, when this is done completely, we can say okay. And we see now that everywhere we click on the cells we highlighted, we see that we say insert names between 3 and 10 alphabets. So if I insert my name, Ada, now, you see that it's allowed. If I say AD, it won't be allowed. It says stay within input instructions. Okay, so that is that for text within the range. So in the class, let's say we are looking at people from specific classes, okay, where we can have a drop down where you select your class. We don't want to leave it open so that somebody will just go and put a class or put something that is not within the class range we are looking at. So we have to have a list somewhere. And in that list, we'll say, let's say we are looking at JSS2, SS3, JSS1, okay? So now, because we want to implement this list here, we will highlight the area where we need to implement the list, then head on to our data tab on a ribbon, then to data tools, click on data validation. So let's go back to our setting. We then select lists, right? And we indicate the source of the list, which is this, okay, where we had the list. Mind you, you can always hide this source of the list so that people cannot actually change it. So this has been satisfied. Let's go to input message and say select from the drop down list. All right. Then on our error alert, we'll leave it as stop and say stay within drop down list. Okay. Then we say okay. You see now that we have everywhere around where we selected, we have a drop down icon, right? So we could basically select from our list, JSS1, JS2, SS3. We could basically just select as we have them there. So let's say we want to impute something that is not on this list. Let's say we say AP, I'll hit enter. It says stay within the drop down list. Okay. So it's not allowing us to enter that. So we can enter, we can either cancel and it goes out, or we will try and enter a new one. Okay. So let's look at the total score. We want to enter a total score. Let's say we have a total score between a range, or we have a range of total score to enter. So we'll highlight it, navigate to our data tab, then on our data tools, we click data validation. On setting, we'll select whole number, or you can as well select decimal, still the same thing. The whole number is just that the number is whole without the decimal, while the decimal, you have the decimal point in the number. So if your number contains decimals, you have to use decimals. If your numbers are whole numbers without any form of decimal, you use whole numbers. So we can select whatever condition we want to select here, but for now, let's use between. And because we have between, let's say our minimum value should be 40, our maximum value according to what we need to collect is 90, right? So we go to the input message and say impute following min and max, okay? Then on our error alerts, say stay within input range. All right, so we click OK, and you see we have implemented our validation. So usually our mean was 40 and it's fine. Our max is 90 and it's fine. But if we say 23, which is lower than our mean, we have a problem there. We can cancel to wipe or retry to try again. Okay, if we say 95, which is higher than our max, it won't let us impute it. So that it's very crucial that we do this to ensure that our data is collected appropriately. Okay. So on email, we can validate email to ensure that the emails presented or submitted are accurate emails, right? By ensuring that we state that the emails must have the @ symbol and must be within a range of a number. So let's head on to data validation now, data tools, and we'll click on data validation. On the setting here, we'll pick custom, right? And because it's custom, we have to create our formula. We already created our formula here, although it will be applied to our D column. So let's use D1, D2 rather. So I'm going to explain this, search D2. Length of D2. All right, so let's discuss this. So we say equal to and. What we have here is number. We'll search for the @ D2, and we're also going to search for the period sign on D2, and that the length should be less than or equal to 255. let's say the emails you expect should be less than or equal to 90, the length of 90. We could use that as well. So with that, we can say, okay, or then go to impute the message, say enter correct email. And we can do the same on the error alert and say enter correct email. So we say, okay. So everywhere we highlighted will basically have what we've implemented. So let me say ada.com and you'll see it will say enter correct email because we don't have the @ sign here. If we retry this and say ada@gmail.com, right? You'll see that it will accept that is correct. What if we had ada still have @gmail and com without the period? It says it's wrong. So we basically followed the correct structure of a Gmail. We have the username, we have the mail extension, right? The email extension, whether Gmail, whether Yahoo Mail, Hotmail, we have the correct extension at hotmail.com, at outlook.com. So if we retry this and say add at hotmail.com, you see that it's going to go through. So that is one important way of ensuring that at least you can collect emails that have the appropriate format. Okay,